Welcome. These will be my thoughts on Young Jedi Adventure, Season 2, Episode 21, Yoda Rescue / Fossil Hunt. The episode is for ages 6 and up, so will this video be, other than the video recommendation I make. And, right, there will be spoilers for the episode, and the show leading up to it, possibly everything Star Wars leading up to when it first premiered. And yeah, another episode that is good to great. So I think it makes the most sense to just start with the, YouTube video recommendation. So if you have not already watched, I would definitely recommend the, it's around here somewhere, the Rebecca Watson or Skeptic video, Inside Hugh Jackman's Weird Cult. And part of the reason that I am choosing to recommend a female YouTuber's video, though it's not that it only happens around this time, but it is Women's History Month, and that is also why I will start by focusing on the female characters in this. And yeah, as usual, they do some really good stuff with Liz. I really, really do love having a main character who is so appreciative of nature and animals. I guess primarily animals. I guess plant life is more nubs, but yeah, I did think it was, we didn't need another of those jokes of like, oh wow, that's, it's so cool to see them in person. Oh, I mean, oh, it's bad, the thing they're doing. I mean, we just had, wasn't that last episode or something? So that's a little bit, but other than that, I really appreciated the, let's see. Yeah, I guess, yeah, and absolutely agreed with her. Whale Song is absolutely beautiful, and yeah, it's great when fiction can try to encourage more of a love of animals, and Star Trek has also done stories that are about how we should treat whales better. I think that might more or less cover, let's see. Yeah, I also appreciate that she is one of the characters who really, gets that the whole, fossil, like, yeah, obviously, if you don't really get it, then it can seem like, why are we spending so much time on this, when you hear dig, you don't think, you know, I mean, it's not actually a paintbrush, is it? But it resembles one. And I do also, I will acknowledge, Nubs, as far as I can tell, is male and also gets the value of it. It's Kai who does not. And I think, yeah, I'm not sure there's more to really say specifically about Liz. Yeah, some fun stuff with, the name's right on the tip of my tongue, Nash as well. I will say I did wonder at first, couldn't they just have like had the ship like just hovering off the ground so that the beetles can't, but then, they can fly, so I don't know, I guess she'd have to be in orbit for that to work or something. But I guess that does pretty much cover, yeah, I think that's all for the female characters. So for the rest of the video, I'm going to try to go more or less scene by scene, chronological order. Do really love that they have a Yoda story, and he's being, the rescue of the title refers to him being rescued and not carrying out rescue. I was hoping that they were going to go with, OT kind of wise if not still that physically adept Yoda. But I do appreciate, as far as the timeline goes, according to the prequels, he was jumping around a lot around this time. And it was really great that he did still need assistance there. I guess, does that more or less cover... What was the other thing that I wanted to make sure to say? I like that we hear about the lava beetles before seeing them, building up tension and suspense, and this detail of, they moved some rocks and there were, these underneath, because that is an actual thing, I once saw with my own eyes. Judge Claude Frollo used that to make a rather grisly point. And I guess this is a decent time to recommend, if you haven't already watched, if you watched that movie but not the Lindsay Ellis exploration of it, then I absolutely recommend her video. I think that does pretty much get us to the yeah, and this thing of how at first Kai is like, I can't even imagine Yoda needing help, and then I forget if it's Liz. It actually might be Liz pointing out, hey, everybody needs help sometimes, and yeah, love this kind of pro-community messaging against this idea of individualism. Oh, every man for himself. That is capitalist propaganda, wealthy people propaganda, trying to divide the rest of us so that we do not confront them about how they are taking the wealth that we are generating for them and using it for, super yachts and car elevators, while people literally die because they don't have enough money in countries like America, where the technology is there to ensure a long, healthy life, but it's in the wrong pockets. And I'm obviously not saying that there should be any violence there. Violence should only ever be the last resort. I'm talking about politically making sure that they pay their fair share, or pair the fair share. That doesn't work. Anyway, I think grammatically, paying one's fair share does work in real life. I think that does pretty much cover the... yeah, I appreciated how much effort it took, both of them, to hold back the melting lava. I don't know why that movie's so much on my mind. Oh, you know what? I think it is just the fact that I suddenly realized, oh, hey, I do have that on DVD. I guess maybe I'll do a video on it sometime, and just every so often it pops into my head. Anyway, I guess, does that pretty much cover? I think that's about what I have for the first one. So let's see. And yeah, the fact that it is specifically Kai who is asked to help Yoda after he earlier expressed that he could hardly believe Yoda could need their help. And can I just say, it is such a beautiful thing to teach children to help others in need, including those that they maybe think of as, oh, that person couldn't possibly need help, which, yeah, I remember being a kid and thinking, what could I do to help an elderly person? And then, yeah, thankfully someone taught me and I was able to do so. It's a beautiful thing. It's very gratifying when you're able to help others. It is, actually one of the things that let's see if I can recall the entire list, but I'll start by actually naming it so you'll know what I'm even talking about. But there is a list of things that if you can, if you can have those things in your life, you are more likely to be happy than if not. One of them is helping others selflessly, not like quid pro quo. And other things include health, stability, financial security. Did I mention community? I guess it bears repeating. And receiving and giving love to other people in your life. Empathy in both directions. And I guess that's why those are some of the core values of progressivism. I don't think it's a coincidence, I guess is what I'm saying. Anyway, that brings us to the second half. And yeah, I don't know. I didn't think the second half was quite as strong because it's just like, okay, Kai at first thinks it's boring and then later appreciates it. And it's like, I'm not entirely sure why. I guess from seeing the really big skeleton, which I do appreciate, like, yeah, that does resemble, it feels like kind of a mix of various dinosaurs. I'm too far removed from my dinosaur phase to put names to. I feel like there's at least a little bit of T-Rex in there. That's about that's the one I remember the name of, but yeah. When it was said, oh, we could, climb out because that thing had claws, I thought that she was suggesting breaking off claws from the fossil. I'm really relieved that that was not what they ended up doing. And yeah, them climbing by jamming the, what's it called, lightsaber. I need sleep. I cannot believe I just struggled to remember that word. I've known that word since, for my age, at double digits and been a fan of them at least as long. Anyway, yeah, them climbing like that did remind me yet again, as the show has before, of Prince of Persia, particularly Sands of Time trilogy and such. I guess especially the Two Thrones, but for reasons that you probably already know if you've ever played that game. But yeah, appreciated that as well. And yeah, nice to see OG again, original Gonker. Original, yeah. And I honestly don't really remember him, but apparently we have seen the antagonist of the second half of the episode again before. But yeah, it did feel a little bit Captain Planet, but I mean, it's still an important message. I mean, I don't know. I think so. I barely remember Captain Planet, but I must have watched at least a little bit because it was not only when I saw, I've seen others talk about it, but yeah, I personally only really take issue with that show for being annoying about it, which I think is just the wrong way to go about it. Like, I get it. You're passionate about it. You want others to be as well. I fall into that same trap. Sometimes I can be very annoying, obnoxious, frankly, about, I probably have been in this very video about, progressive values and such. But personally, I did think that this one did a much better job of communicating it. One thing I did find weird was the thing about, like, oh, I have, the deed to this. I have a right to, the right to this land. And he shows him something and then pulls it away too fast. And OG is like, I didn't actually see that. Are we supposed to take from that if he did have the rights to that place, that it would be okay what he's doing? Because I do not agree with that. Like, I don't care who owns it. Like, places like that should be like, okay, you know what? Maybe certain things, and I know Republicans are gonna get furious at this, some things more important than property rights. But yeah, I don't know. I think it would have been better if that hadn't been in there, if that issue hadn't been raised at all. Because, like, I have made my point and I'm gonna move on. Let's see. I guess that does. Yeah, I appreciate, as usual, the action works. The bits of tension and yeah, the Beatles also great singers, and in addition, yeah, I thought they did a good job on the designs. Like, they're a little bit creepy, but not like nightmare inducing for 6-year-old. And let's see. I do kind of appreciate how much he uses machines because, like the capitalist, because that is very much, you know, yeah, the machine of capitalism and how destructive it is and how difficult it can be to stop it or slow it down, and why we need to really focus a lot of our efforts on, yeah, preventing it from harming people. And I guess that does pretty much cover it. And I appreciated there near the end where the machines are made to help, because a machine is only as bad as its master is making it be. With that said, I do think we need more than we need, as bare minimum, significant reform and regulation if capitalism is to cease rendering the planet literally unlivable. Don't take my word for it. Look it up if you didn't already know. And once again, I am not advocating for any kind of violence. Capitalism is not a person. I'm talking about reforming a system. And I guess that does pretty much cover it. Yeah. I feel like there's at least one more thing that I really wanted to make sure to say. I'm trying to avoid repeating myself too much when it comes to politics these days. So I guess I'll say that, yeah, so the capitalist, he is unimpressed by, the fossil. And yeah, he just wants this thing that he wants because it would make him feel powerful. Basically, it's ego stroking. So yeah, if he were real and not in Star Wars, he might maybe be a part of it or just work with the Trump administration. Yeah, that pretty much covers everything. Yeah, I really liked when Yoda, just actually said, and I believe this is an exact quote. Feel free to correct me in the comments. "Help me, O Kai Brightstar. You're my only hope."